Okay, welcome everybody. We are going to go ahead and get started. Please enter your agency name in the chat box so we know who is participating. This is the May 2020 HMIS user meeting. Welcome. And this is our agenda. We're going to give a quick update on agency presentations, see how everyone's feeling about project performance reports, give you an update on the FEMA projects and show you a demo on our active user report. We have some updates on coordinated entry cheat sheets and knowledge base articles, as well as a couple questions on the monthly training webinar that we held at the end of last month. We also have a new HMIS survey for everybody, and also the data and performance management meeting update. So first up, Casey. Oh, I can't find Casey.
Can you hear me? I think I'm.
Yes, you're good.
Okay, great. All right. So we know last month was pretty hectic, but we wanted to let everyone know that at the April HMIS user meeting, Families Forward gave a really great presentation on how they use Looker and HMIS data to track goals and spending throughout the fiscal year. You can find materials from their presentation on the HMIS user meeting materials page on ochmis.org, and we will include a link to that in the minutes of today's meeting, which will go out by the end of the week. So we just wanted to ask if your agency has a helpful or unique process involving HMIS or Looker, and you feel like it might be beneficial to the group. We would love to have you present. So you can let us know in the chat box if you're interested, and someone from the HMIS team will follow up with you after the meeting, or you can also submit a ticket to the HMIS help desk anytime you have an idea for a presentation.
All right. So far not seeing anything in the chat, so I'm going to keep going.
Okay. Okay, so last month we checked in with everyone about the then upcoming emergency shelter project performance report, and determined that most responding agencies didn't have the capacity to complete the corrections related to that project performance report at the time. So today we're going to do another anonymous poll to see if that's changed or if we should resume the project performance process again. Erin, can you do the poll?
Yes, polling has started.
Okay. So the first question asks if you think your agency has the capacity to work on project performance corrections now. And if you're answering no and you feel comfortable sharing any details in the chat box about why you feel that way, we would like to know in case there's anything we can do to help you out. You can also enter a ticket with us.
Oh, wait, hold on. It's showing the wrong poll. All right, start again, everybody. Sorry.
So the poll is anonymous, but if you feel like sharing in the chat, that will not be anonymous, just so we know. The second question asks if we should delay the project performance report publication another month and check back in during the June HMIS user meeting to see where everyone's at again.
All right, we have some responses coming in. Thank you all for participating. We'll just give it a few more seconds to get hopefully the rest of you. So far it's looking like most people are saying they have the capacity, but they're also saying we should delay the project performance report publication. So if that's how you answered, we'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. I know we heard last month that it's just difficult to work from home to correct data right now because you may not have files with you to make those corrections. So if that's how you feel, that's fine. Or if there's another reason, we'd like to hear that also. And I'll let the chat do that for a couple minutes. I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. and share the results, hopefully. We got one comment in the chat saying, yes, that's correct. For this agency, that it's hard for them to make revisions to data from home because they don't have the files with them. So that makes sense. As a side note, would it be helpful, or does your agency know when they'll be going back into the office? Do you have a date in mind? Because that might help us know when we should start these project performance reports again. We have not been given a date yet. Another agency also doesn't know. May 18th staggered return. Ooh, that's soon. No date yet. Okay, so yeah, it seems like either it's later in the month or most agencies don't have a date they'll be returning to the office yet. So we'll plan to check in again next month on this and see where everyone's at, and if we can start in June potentially. All right, thank you everybody for your feedback.
Okay, everyone get ready. This is going to be a long one. So we're going to do a check-in for the FEMA / non-congregate shelter projects. We've set up a number of projects in HMIS so far that are expecting to be reimbursed by FEMA funds via the Project Roomkey program. And we wanted to let you all know of some other scenarios for which you'll need to contact the HMIS help desk to discuss the possibility of setting up new projects in HMIS. If you're using COC funds to pay for hotel or motel vouchers, please contact HMIS Help Desk so your efforts can be recorded in HMIS for possible future FEMA reimbursement. If you are receiving new ESG funds related to the COVID-19 crisis, either an increase to your current contract or a new contract, please also contact the HMIS Help Desk. And if you're receiving FEMA funding directly, please contact the HMIS Help Desk so we can get your projects set up. If anyone has any questions about any of those scenarios, you can enter them in the chat box or submit a ticket. While you're potentially doing that, we're also going to go over some of the FEMA required questions because we've gotten some questions from users about that part of the workflow. We've published a data entry guide on the help desk, which you can find if you go to the help desk and type in FEMA. The article will pop right up. We'll also include a link to that in the minutes after the meeting's over today. And that data entry guide contains instructions for determining client eligibility, accessing the non-congregate shelter projects if your agency has had an additional agency set up to house those projects, completing the optional COVID-19 screening tool assessment for your clients, uploading their verification documents, and adding the optional services. If you have any questions about those processes, please let us know in the chat. We're not going to go over them in detail today because we haven't received many questions on those topics from users, but we are going to go over the FEMA required fields on the enrollment screen. So I'm going to share my screen.
Casey, we got a quick question.
Okay.
We have requested an extension on 2 project operating periods. How do we notify you of the change should we receive an approval for this?
Christine, you can submit a ticket to the help desk to let us know about that.
Is this COC funding, Christine? And you can share your screen now, Casey.
Okay.
Yes, please put in a ticket, Christine, and we can make that edit in HMIS.
Okay. So we should be seeing an enrollment screen now. Is that right?
Yeah.
Great. So the FEMA screen that will be attached to all of these non-congregate shelter projects contains the regular prior living situation and disabling condition questions that you're used to. And then underneath those are some FEMA specific data elements. So the first two questions are about the client's COVID-19 status and their ability to self-isolate, and also a reminder to upload any COVID-19 related documents to the Files tab, which is up here. And there's a health category in here that you can use for those files. Next are the unit name and type questions. For unit name, when you look at this field, you're going to see a list of multiple projects, potentially multiple agencies projects. So you should be selecting the project that you're enrolling the client into for this field. Next is unit type, and this is the type of unit that the project is housing the client in. It's important to make sure that your staff is on the same page about what unit type your project is if your project is only providing one type of unit. So for example, a project based in a hotel should have 100% hotel-motel responses for this question. But a project could also be housing some clients in apartments and some in trailers or other combinations. So just make sure that your staff is on the same page about which option they should be selecting here. And then this section, this address section, is related to the unit that the client is being housed in the project. So we know this has been confusing, and we've asked Bitfocus to adjust the names of these fields or put a little note right here that indicates that it's for the unit, but they've said that they are not able to do that. So it's important that your staff has a unified way of entering the project's address. For example, if your project is the hotel and the address of the hotel is 123 Main Street, the address should be written out the same way for all enrollments, instead of some enrollments spelling out the entire word street and some abbreviating to ST, other things like that, different spelling of the cities. If your project is housing clients at different locations in apartments or trailers, it's very important that the locations, the specific locations, are entered here. I saw we got a question.
It was a comment.
Okay. All right, so right below the unit address information is a field asking for the client's last or current permanent address data quality, and this field has jump logic. So if you select full address reported or incomplete, the rest of the address fields will show up for you to populate. And if you select any of the missing responses, like client doesn't know, client refused, data not collected, you won't have to enter the address information. All right, and the additional FEMA questions section for has cell phone and has email address, there's no option here to indicate that the client does not have a cell phone or does not have an email address. So Bitfocus's guidance is that you just skip those questions if that's the case for your client. However, the pets, service animal, and access needs fields do have no options, so you will need to make sure that you're selecting no if your client is saying no to these questions. We've also asked them if they can change that, and unfortunately received the answer that they cannot. So that's all I have for FEMA non-congregate shelter. Were there any questions?
I haven't seen anything come into the chat.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up, actually let me stop real quick and get the slides up. Our next item is the agency active user list report. And when I tested that report this morning, Looker was being very slow for me. So I'm going to show you guys how to run that using screenshots. Okay.
Thanks, Lorena.
Okay, so last meeting, we asked everyone to let us know if you have user accounts that are no longer being used so that we can limit the additional costs associated to getting more user license fees as new agencies and projects come online that are setting up projects related to COVID-19.
Stacey,
So, yeah.
I'm seeing the slides.
Yes.
Okay, cool. But,
okay, great.
But not the current slide. I'm seeing the agency presentation slide.
Oh, no. Okay, hold on. Oh, that was the old one. Okay, there we go. I see the green line. Okay, great. So last month we sent everyone a list of their currently active users, and since then we've created a report that you can run to look at your active user list anytime you need to. And we are also going to be setting that report up to be sent automatically to agency administrators every month to their email. So to run the report, you go to your reports page and then you click on the data analysis tab. You click on the Orange County Clarity Systems Reports folder, and then almost all the way at the bottom, you'll see this user management section, which is where you'll find the agency active users report. You just click run and it'll pop up for you. You won't need to put anything in the agency filter, and the staff status filter will automatically be set to active. So what you'll get when you run the report is everyone whose HMIS account is set to your agency and active. You can change the staff status filter to inactive if you want, if you see your list and think that someone appears to be missing and should have an active user account. Their account may have been made inactive due to not logging in for 180 days, in which case they will need to complete HMIS Part 2 training to have their account unlocked and back at active. So if that's the case, enter a ticket with us to let us know. And if you run your agency active user report and see users that do not need to have active HMIS accounts, you'll need to fill out the revocation of access form, which we will link in the minutes for today's meeting.
Also, for those agencies that have given access to users outside of their agency, so like the Mercy House Collaborative, the Family Solutions Collaborative, if you want to see users only at your agency, you may need to put your agency name into that field, that filter field. Otherwise, you may see users from those other agencies. We got a question. Who can we follow up with to obtain FEMA reimbursement data after this has ended? We will probably be working with the county to release some data regarding the FEMA reimbursement. If you have data that you want specific to your agency regarding this, you can enter a ticket with the HMIS help desk and we can work with you to get that data out. But we need to make sure that your project is set up in a way right now so that you can collect that data. So if you don't have anything specific to FEMA set up right now, you won't be able to report on it later. So please also enter a ticket with us so we can work with you on that to make sure you can do the reporting you want to be able to do. And then for the larger COC, we'll be working on that a few months from now or however long this lasts. All right. Myra?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Did you want me to share the screen?
Yeah, I can share my screen.
Okay.
All right, can everyone see what I'm seeing?
Yeah, we're seeing the slide.
Okay, awesome. So we have now published a knowledge base article that covers the coordinated entry reports, so that will be available to review for you all. I will link this in the minutes as well, but the report details, it's going to be in a PDF file, but what it's going to cover is all the reports are currently available to coordinated entry. So in this case, Family Solutions Collaborative. It also lists how often they get sent out if it's a scheduled report. And it also makes a distinction between whether or not it's a report that can be accessed through the data analysis tab. And it also describes what the report is for and how it's used. So coordinated entry users can look at this to see if this is a report they're interested in. If they're not already receiving it, you can submit a HMIS help desk ticket so we can add you to the scheduled reports if that's how they're being accessed. So one that I know most commonly gets requested is like the household, or actually no, the available household opportunity list, which I'm not seeing on this list right now. So, available households, there you go. So this is like a scheduled report that gets sent out weekly to everybody in the Family Solutions Collaborative. So if you are a member and you aren't currently receiving that look, you can email us or submit a ticket and ask to be added to that report. And again, you can review this to see what you currently have access to and what you don't, and ask for access if needed.
Myra, we got a question. Can you go back and navigate them where they can access this?
Yeah, it's going to be in the knowledge base. So if you, let me go back to this. To our support center, you can just type in CS reports, I believe should pop up. And then click on there, and you'll kind of get the background for the report, and it's going to be right here under the attachments, the CES reports, just because the graph is too big to fit onto the screen. And if you do want a rundown as to how do you run a report that's on the data analysis tab, we linked the running a saved look knowledge base article here.
And we'll also include a link to this in the meeting minutes, so you don't have to go through the knowledge base.
Should I go to the next slide?
Yeah.
Okay. So we, let's see, where am I? We have also published, or we will be publishing a coordinated entry cheat sheet, and that will be available to you all where the other cheat sheets are currently located. So again, it's not published as of right now, but it's going to be right under in the OC HMIS website under HMIS help. There's going to be an additional little drop down for the coordinated entry cheat sheet. And we're expecting to have that available by the end of this week, if not early next week. And we'll email you all also when that's available. The cheat sheet will cover important data elements to consider for any clients currently enrolled in coordinated entry. And we'll also be including 3 flow charts along with the cheat sheet. So those flow charts would include the workflow for the access points, housing agencies, and the matchmaker as well.
All right.
Any questions?
I'm not seeing it.
I'm like blasting through this. This one I'm gonna give back to you just because I'm not sure how to start a poll. So okay. I'm gonna stop sharing, but I'll continue talking.
All right.
So as Aaron was saying, last month we did have a HMIS training. So we did create a poll to kind of get an idea of as to what our users were interested in. So Aaron, do you want to go ahead and launch the poll?
Okay, hold on. Okay, so you're using the training webinars poll now.
Yes. So the first question is basically asking what kind of trainings our users would be interested in receiving if you kind of want to switch it up from the HMIS Part 2 training, since as of right now, that's all we have scheduled for. So if you want trainings on advanced topics such as the cheat sheets, data standards, coordinated entry, looker training, and how often would you guys like the HMIS Part 2 webinar that we are currently holding? Again, it's the training that we had last month. It's the one that we have scheduled for this coming month. And it is for new users that I will be covering the functionality in Clarity, sorry. So how often would you guys prefer to have that new user training, the HMIS Part 2 training?
All right, so I'm just giving it a few more minutes to allow people to respond. So far, everyone has said they would be interested in webinars that cover that's great. Just giving it another minute.
And Christine, the next one is scheduled for May 28th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Again, it's going to be for new users to kind of cover how you enroll clients, how do you add clients to a household, and things like that, and everything that's covered in the HMIS Part 2 training. It will be sending out an email a week prior to the training, as well to the AAs, that will include a reservation link that you can send to any of the users you want to participate.
Yes, so for May, we're going to repeat the webinar we did in April, which is the HMIS Part 2 training. And then we wanted to get your feedback on how we should handle the webinar starting in June. So that's what this poll is about. All right, so it seems like responses have stopped. So everybody said they're interested in more advanced training. And then how often would you like to have the HMIS Part 2 webinar? And most people said monthly. And then a few said quarterly or every 6 months. And then some also said that as long as there's a pre-recorded video, that's fine. We don't need a live webinar. So like Myra already said, for May, we're gonna stick with HMIS Part 2 training for those new users, and then we'll start thinking about future webinars for June.
And one last thing, we will be sending out a Survey Monkey to the last round of participants that were there in our last month training, just so we can get some feedback as to what was covered and how they felt about the topics. So be on the lookout for that. I believe it should be sent out by the end of this week, if not early next week. Again, to all the participants that were there in our last training. All right, I think that's it for me.
All right. Linda?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we have created a survey for all HMIS users to complete. This will be a separate survey from the monthly training webinar survey that Maya had just mentioned. You guys can use the link on the slide to complete the survey, or use the link that will be provided in the minutes page. This will help us collect feedback to analyze and have a better understanding of what your needs are and how we can better assist you and improve your overall experience with HMIS. The due date will be a little bit 2 weeks from today, which will be Friday, May 22nd. We will be sending out a reminder email as well, so please be on the lookout for that. Please pass this survey on to everyone in your agency who uses HMIS. We do look forward to hearing from you. If you guys have any questions, please submit a ticket to the help desk.
All right.
This is just a quick reminder that the May data management and performance meeting has been canceled due to COVID-19. All following meetings have also been canceled until further notice, and we will update you once there are plans on resuming future meetings.
Okay, so that is all of our scheduled content for today, but we do have some time for some Q&A. If there's any questions about anything we've gone over today, or if you have a burning question or something you'd like to see demoed in HMIS, we have a little time, we can do that for you now. And we also can take any of your questions over tickets, but this is just an opportunity to get some quick answers that you may need. So I'll give everybody a minute to think and maybe enter something into the chat. We got a question, is the HMIS survey mandatory for all users? It's not mandatory. We know you're busy, but we would like as much feedback as possible. So as many users at your agency are welcome to take the survey. And it's not very long. We tried to make it, it's very few write-in answers. So we try to keep it quick, but we are looking for some feedback to try and improve your experience as much as possible. Any other questions? All right, I'm not seeing any other questions coming in. As a reminder, if you haven't already, please enter your agency name into the chat so we know who's here. And I hope you all are doing well out there. I know that it's a stressful time and very crazy, so hang in there. Hope you're doing well and your family. And then we'll have our next meeting the first week of June. We will send out the meeting minutes and slides either at the end of this week or early next week. And then we'll send out a meeting reminder with the agenda for the June meeting about a week before. So thank you all very much, and we will talk to you next month. Yes, June 3rd, Christine. We'll send out the date with the meeting minutes. Thanks, everybody.